remove the wheel, I'm going to use a 17mm socket. When I go to remove the last lug bolt, I'm just going to support the wheel, keep it from falling. Take that out and grab the wheel. And take the wheel off. And take this caliper clip off. I'm just going to use some pliers and just a screwdriver. Just pry the clip out and slide it off. Use a straight blade screwdriver, just pry it out on the caliper. This is just going to compress the piston a little bit. Take this pad sensor out, just use some needle nose pliers. Just grab that clip, just try to squeeze it. You can also try to grab the sensor. Try not to break the wire. Pull that out. This sensor actually broke, and there should be a clip on there as well. Make sure you get that out. But it's always a good idea to replace these sensors when you're doing the brakes. And just slide this cap off the bleeder, slide the wire out of the way. And just take a straight blade screwdriver, take these little caps off. Right there and right there. Now I'm going to use a 7mm hex bit. Take these bolts out. Caliper slide bolts. Be careful with the top one, the shock is in the way, so you might have to take your ratchet off and just do it by hand. Loosen that up, take this one out. Oops. And just grab the caliper and slide it out. You can take the brake pads out. Slide that one off. And slide that one off. Then we'll just take a caliper hanger and just hang it from the coil spring. Then use a 16mm socket. Take these two caliper bracket bolts out. And slide the bracket off. Now we're going to remove this screw that's holding the rotor on. I'm going to use a 6mm hex bit. Remove that screw. Just hold the rotor just in case it's loose. If it's stuck on there, just take a hammer and tap in those locations. Slide it off. Just take a wire brush, clean up some of the rust on the rotor, on the hub. Just in this area. Or you can use a die grinder. Take a little brake parts cleaner and clean this up, but I'm also going to spray some brake parts cleaner on the parking brake shoes. There's a lot of dust on there. We are going to have to adjust that a little bit just to make sure everything's all set. So just clean this up. Make sure you let it dry before you put the rotors on. Right, to tighten up these shoes, I normally take two screwdrivers, one down near the spring. Just pry the spring away from this wheel, and then the other right here. To tighten the passenger side up, you're gonna make the wheel come towards you, like this. When you're doing it on the driver's side, if you turn the wheel like that, that will make the driver's side go tighter. So right now, it's a good idea to count the times you turn it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then when you put your rotor on, just make sure you just have a slight drag. Sometimes if you put it on too tight and then take it off, and then take it off a couple turns, like 3 to 5 turns, you should be good. Just slide the rotor on. It's really not that tight, so I'm going to tighten it up some more. All right, now if I go to put it on the shoes right now, that's too tight. I can't even get the rotor on, so I gotta loosen that up a little bit. All right, that slide's good. So it's just a little bit of a drag. And then once you mount the rotor, you can put that bolt in there. You can always check the parking brake, see the operation. If it feels like it's too tight, then you can come off and adjust it again. adjust it accordingly. All right, now just take a little anti-seize, put it on the hub, just so it keeps corrosion out. Just take some brake parts cleaner. You want to clean off the surface of the rotor. There is a protective film on the rotor. And flip it over, do the same on the back side. And slide the rotor in position. Get that screw, get that lined up. Make sure you line that hole up. Get that started. And just snug this up, not too tight. Take this caliper bracket, just take a wire brush, clean up some of the rust and the corrosion where the pad slides are going to slide. Just take a little brake caliper grease, just give it a nice light coat. And slide the bracket in position. Take the bolts, get the bolts started. Now we're going to torque these bolts to 48 foot-pounds. Now just take these slide pins out, caliper slide pins. We're going to clean these off. A little brake parts cleaner. And wipe them off. If you have to use a wire brush on these, you can. Take a little brake caliper grease. You can grease the caliper side and also a little bit on the slide pin. And slide it up there and do the same with the other one. I'll just take the caliper off the hanger. I just want to compress the caliper. You want to push that piston back into the caliper. You can use a caliper compressing tool. And as you're pushing the piston back into the caliper, you're pushing brake fluid through the hoses, through the lines, back into the master cylinder, and into the reservoir. Just go nice and slow. All right, with the piston all the way retracted, and just take the brake pad that has the clip on it and slide it into the piston. Lock that in place. Make sure you don't get any grease on the pad surface. Then we'll take the outside brake pad, slide that in position, and slide the caliper back over it. Now I'll get the caliper bolts started. Now I'm going to torque these caliper bolts to 22 foot-pounds. Take these caps, put these caps on, right there. Take this clip, slide this clip on one side, and try to get it on the other side. I'm just going to push right here, just use a screwdriver, try to pry this into position, and just push that spot right there so it clips in place. Now there's some clips you have to take to get the wire off for the brake pad sensor, right here, one right here. You can use a flat blade tool also. Get underneath here, pop the clip off, and right here. Take this panel down. I'm just gonna take these two screws out. It's a 8mm socket to use. You can just twist it to the side. You don't have to take it off completely. And just take the wire right there. There's a little cover over this box right here. Just slide those clips off. Slide the wire out. Disconnect the connector. Just push down on this little tab and slide it off. All right, just line this up and lock it in place. Put the connector back in the clips and slide the wire back in position. It just slides right on that slot like that, and then you can close the door and fish the wire back up through here. just over that control arm. Now we can close this panel up. And take the two screws, get these started. And snug these up. And slide these through the clips. I would just leave them loose in the clips first. Oh, actually you can see where they're supposed to be positioned right there. Then you can put the clips down. There's a little area on there. And lock those in place. Take the sensor, this side that has the little bump on it, that's gonna go towards the rotor. Slide that in position and use a screwdriver or something to push it down. Click it in place and slide the wire under this little retaining cap. Push it back down. You want to make sure you pump the brake pedal afterwards. There's going to be an air gap between the brake caliper piston and the brake pads, so you want to eliminate that. So make sure that feels good. Then check your brake fluid level and adjust accordingly.